Hello, how are you guys? I'm back, taking a little break from life. Been scaling pretty hard. But anyways, today I wanted to talk about Panama. Should you, as a 7, 8 figure e-commerce dropshipper guru, Twitter overlord, YouTube wizard, Discord champ, should you be incorporating in Panama to basically pay 0% tax? What is all that nonsense about? It will all be revealed in this video, shot from my bed because I can. So, why do people register companies in Panama? They register companies in Panama because Panama offers 0% tax. Who doesn't like that, right? Obviously, it's more complicated than that. If Panama was a perfect place to register a company, every single company in the world would be registered in Panama. That's not the case. So obviously, there's more to the story than what people will tell you. Okay, let's talk about how most e-commerce people actually do this structure. Actually, let's talk about when you shouldn't do this, actually. I think that's an important topic. So don't do this if you live in America, if you live in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, France, Norway, Finland, etc. If you live in a Western country that's pretty good at following up with tax, don't mess around with this stuff. Go incorporate, do things properly, get a CPA, etc., etc. Not the time to be playing funny games. That being said, let's say you're a guy living in Bali, Vietnam, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, Argentina, then hey, there's a whole world of possibilities of what you can do with tax. So the basic structure most e-commerce people who do the Panama route follow, it's as following. You open a US LLC in, let's say, Delaware, which has 0% state tax, but also as a single member Delaware LLC, it can be considered as a pass-through entity depending on a few things. That Delaware LLC will be owned by your Panamanian company, like the offshore companies, and then you'll shift your profits, which, by the way, is definitely walking a fine line of legality here, depending on how you do it. But anyways, just you'll figure it out as you go. Ask Grog or something. You send money from your US LLC to your Panamanian company, right? Panamanian company will report it as profits because it's an offshore company. That's a specific word in Panama. That basically means you're exempt or have 0% tax. That's it. Your corporation gets 0% tax, and the tax liability from your pass-through entity shifts to your Panamanian company, right? That being said, the reality is this actually doesn't really work. It's more of a very gray loophole. Reason being is because there are other laws and rules, like, where's the Panamanian company really being operated from? For example, if you're living in Vietnam, you can't just pretend that it's not a Panamanian, that it's like not a Vietnamese company. All the managers, directors, CEOs, whatever. In this case, you're the director and CEO is living in Vietnam. Like, obviously, it's a Vietnamese company. You should pay Vietnamese tax. But in this sort of age of travelers and nomads and shit like that, it's very hard to enforce these rules at the moment. Maybe it'll change in the future, but not today. So that's what a lot of people do, is that they own a Panamanian company, they live in a place with very flexible rules, and they just kind of ignore it. What are some other benefits of Panama? Another benefit of Panama is personal, actually. You can pretty easily get a residency in Panama, get an ID, rent an apartment, build some substance in the country. But most importantly, just like many countries in the world, they will let you file taxes without not necessarily being a tax resident. Like, you can just file taxes in most countries. Like, you don't need to be a tax resident. That's a whole different myth that people talk about. Like, oh, you need a tax resident certificate. Why would you need that? You don't really need it. That's stupid. So anyways, what a lot of dropshippers do, this doesn't work as you continue to scale higher and higher. You need better things, let's say, more legal structures and things like that. But what they do is basically they get residency in Panama. Yeah. Because you don't actually live in Panama, but you still file taxes in Panama, the money that you bring into Panama as your personal income also is 0% tax. And you do have a receipt that says you reported your tax to Panama and you get 0% tax. That's basically it, to be honest. There's a lot more, but just wanted to make a quick video. There's more details, but it's pretty easy to figure out on Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, etc. The legality of this is not so good if you're, let's say, American, or if you start to like make a lot of money, like if you're consistently hitting, you know, a few $1,000,000 in revenue every single month, you shouldn't be doing stuff like this. You should be doing something more proper. But definitely when you're starting out, it's sort of like a good Swiss knife of tax, provided you don't live in like the UK, Canada, etc. And that's it. You can make a bunch of money, tax-free-ish, and enjoy your life. Hong Kong, also a very great place. I'll make a video about it some other day.